Hi everyone, you are welcome back to Rotimi Science Academy. If you have not yet subscribed, please do well to hit the subscribe button and share this video to whosoever you know will benefit from this video. Today, we want to run through the 2023 WAEC Biology Practical. We're going to be looking at the specimens and the likely questions that WAEC may ask on each of these specimens. So do well to be attentive and watch this video till the end, because you're going to benefit a lot, and how much you are able to get from the practical will determine your success, your score in the whole subject at the end of the day, because WAEC will not divide or cut your score in practical, unlike in theory and objective. So do well to get much out of this practical class. So the very first specimen here is the specimen A, mature fresh eggs of catfish. Mature fresh eggs of catfish. So like I said earlier, we're not going to waste time. We'll look at the likely question. What are the questions that WAEC may ask on each of these specimens? So the very first one here, what is the average size of mature fresh eggs of catfish? The answer to this question, the average size of mature fresh egg of catfish ranges from 1.5 to 2.5 millimeter. 1.5 to 2.5 millimeter in diameter. And another question, how can you distinguish between mature and immature eggs of catfish? A mature egg of catfish are spherical, translucent, and have a yellowish or orange color, while immature eggs are smaller, white and opaque. Then, what is the function of the chorion in the egg of catfish? What is the function of the chorion in the egg of catfish? The chorion is a protective outer layer that helps to prevent the egg from drying out, and also helps to prevent the entry of pathogens. The chorion is a protective outer layer that helps to prevent the egg from drying out, and also helps to prevent the entry of pathogens. Another question, how long does it take for catfish eggs to hatch? The incubation period for catfish eggs varies depending on the water temperature. It depends on the water temperature, but it typically ranges from 2 to 5 days. 2 to 5 days. Then the next question, how can you determine the fertilization rate of catfish eggs? The answer, the fertilization rate of catfish eggs can be determined by observing the percentage of eggs that develop into embryo after a given period of time. Like you know that catfish lay eggs in bunches. Their eggs are numerous. Then the next question, what is the optimal water temperature for hatching catfish egg? The optimal water temperature for hatching catfish eggs is typically between 25 degrees C and 35 degrees C. 25 degrees C and 35 degrees C. Then what is the role of the yolk in the development of catfish eggs? Because they are going to be asking the relationship of the common thing to specimen A, B, and C, because they all deal with eggs. So what are the things that are common to the three of them? So yolk is common to A, is common to B, and is common to C. Yolk is common to A, is common to B, and is common to C. So what is the role of the yolk in the development of catfish embryo? The answer to that, the yolk provides nutrients and energy to the developing embryo, which allows it to grow and develop until it can feed independently. The yolk provides nutrients and energy to the developing embryo, which allows it to grow and develop until it can feed independently. The next question, how can you determine the gender of catfish embryo? How can you determine the gender of catfish embryo? The gender of catfish embryo cannot be determined visually, but it can be determined using genetic techniques. So it's beyond the scope of this level. Now, what is the role of oxygen in the development of catfish embryo? Oxygen is essential for the development of catfish embryo, as it is required for cellular respiration and energy production. So the oxygen is responsible, the dissolved oxygen in the water is responsible for the development of catfish embryo for cellular respiration and energy production. Now, how can you prevent fungi growth on catfish eggs during incubation? Since we know that fungi and water go hand in hand, fungal growth on catfish can be prevented by adding an antifungal agent to the water. That's maintaining optimal water quality and removing dead or diseased eggs promptly. Now, what are the stages of development in catfish embryo? The answers to that, the stages of development in catfish embryo include 1. Blastular stage, 2. Gastrular stage, neurolar stage, and organogenesis stage. Blastular stage, gastrular stage, neurolar stage, and organogenesis stage. Blastula, Blastula, gastrula, Gastrula, neurula, Neurula, and organogenesis. That is organ O, then genesis. Now, what is the role of vitelline membrane in the egg of catfish? Mind you, the specimen B, which is domestic fowl, also have vitelline membrane. So let's take note. It will be asked to state the similarities between specimen A and B. So the vitelline membrane is a proteinaceous layer that surrounds the yolk and helps to protect it from mechanical damage and bacterial infection. The vitelline membrane, very important membrane, is a proteinaceous layer that surrounds the yolk and helps to protect it from mechanical damage and bacterial infection rather. Okay, I think I've asked this earlier. What is the optimal pH range for hatching catfish eggs? The optimal pH range for hatching catfish eggs is between 6.5 to 7.5 pH. Then another very important part of catfish eggs is called oil globule, oil globule, oil, then globule, globule. The oil globule provides energy to the developing embryo and also helps to regulate buoyancy in the water. Since these eggs are produced in the water, then how does it adapt to water? How does it adapt to water? And this is done by oil globule. The oil globule provides energy to the developing embryo, number one. Number two, it is also responsible for the regulation of buoyancy in water. Regulation of buoyancy in water. Now, another part of egg of catfish, the micropyle. What is the role of micropyle in the egg of catfish? Now, the micropyle is a small opening in the egg that allows the sperm to enter and fertilize the egg. The micropyle is a small opening in the egg that allows the sperm to enter and fertilize the egg. Now, please let me quickly state this. They may not ask this question directly the way I'm asking it. They can twist the question and put it this way. That is, what is the adaptation, or how does sperm penetrate into this egg? So, the answer will be micropyle, which is a small opening that allows the movement of sperm into the egg. Okay. Now, how is the specimen adapted for survival? How is the eggs? How do they survive? Now, the chorion is a protective outer layer that helps to prevent the egg from drying out and also protect it from pathogens. So that is the answer to that. Okay. So I've talked about the vitally membrane. It's a proteinous layer that surrounds the yolks and protect it from mechanical damage and bacterial infection. So this is also part of the adaptation. Then the yolk is a nutrient-rich structure that provides energy and nutrients to the developing embryo. The oil globule provides energy to the developing embryo and helps to regulate buoyancy in water. Micropyle is a small opening in the egg that allows the sperm to enter and fertilize the egg. So these are the parts and the adaptation of these eggs to its survival in the water. Then one more thing, if you look at the diagram very well, the structure very well, you see that there is a protective layer, as if it is shielded. The eggs are shielded, are covered. The eggs have what we call adhesive property. The catfish eggs are sticky and adhere to the surface, such as rocks, vegetation, or other submerged objects. This allows the eggs to be protected from predators and also provide a stable substrate for the embryo to develop on. Okay, because the yolk cannot carry the egg. The moment the eggs are hatched and they begin to grow, the yolk, the baby now begin to fend for themselves. So the adhesive properties, which like a shield, okay, makes the eggs to stick to surfaces where they'll be able to strike. Then I talked about buoyancy earlier, buoyancy regulation. The oil globule in the egg of catfish helps to regulate buoyancy, allowing the egg to remain suspended in water column at the optimal depth for development. Okay. So, and the egg that is tolerance to environmental conditions. The catfish eggs can tolerate a wide range of environmental conditions such as temperature, pH, which we have discussed earlier. So the specimen B, which is the fresh eggs of domestic fowl. Fresh eggs of domestic fowl. Now this always come in two colors. As you can see, you have this and you have the white one. Okay, the fresh eggs of domestic fowl, like any other animal eggs, have a variety of structural adaptation, features, and functions which the questions will be based on. So we'll look at the parts, the structure, and the adaptation. So the first one we look at is the shell. The outermost layer of the egg is the shell, which provide a protective barrier against mechanical damage and bacterial infection. So, like I told you, you will be linking the functions of different parts of these three specimens. What is responsible for protection in the catfish egg, what is responsible for the protection or the outermost part in the egg of the fowl. So you have to be sensitive to that. Those are the key questions and the area of attractive to WAEC. So the outermost layer of the egg is the shell, and the function is that it provides protective barrier against mechanical damage and bacterial infection. And this shell is made of calcium, that is calcium carbonate. Okay, it is responsible for protection, protection against mechanical damage. It is also responsible for the exchange of gases. It's responsible for exchange of gases because it is porous. It is porous, which allows the passage of air. Then the next one is chalaza. Chalaza, as you can see from the structure. Chalaza. The chalaza is twisted rope-like structure that anchors the yolk in the center of the egg, providing stability and protection against mechanical shock. The chalaza is a twisted rope-like structure that anchors the yolk. It anchors the yolk to the center of the egg, providing stability and protection against mechanical shock. Then the main one, the yolk. The yolk is large, yellow, nutrient-rich structure that provide the developing embryo with energy and nutrient. Okay, the yolk is suspended in the egg by the chalaza. Again, the yolk is suspended in the egg by chalaza. The yolk is a large, yellow, nutrient-rich structure that provide the developing embryo with energy and nutrient. Then the albumen. The albumen, which is also known as egg white. It is a clear, viscous fluid that surrounds the yolk. It is rich in protein and provide a protective cushion for the developing embryo. Then the next one is germinal disc. The germinal disc, also known as blastodem, is a small white spot on the surface of the yolk where the embryo develops, and fertilization occurs in this area. Please take note. Fertilization occurs in this area. Fertilization occur in this area. So you may be asked directly, where does fertilization occur? Okay. Then the ear cell. The ear cell is a small pocket of air that forms at the broad end of the egg. It cools after being laid. The size of the air cell can be used to determine the age of the egg. Okay, so we move to the next specimen, which is specimen C. That's the uterus of woman, the woman uterus. So you may be asked to draw this specimen. So you see the structure, the labelings. Okay, either the one with a fetus or ordinary uterus. So whichever one you are asked, you can see the structure there. So practice it and label it accordingly. So the uterus, also known as womb, is in case you're asked to state the physical appearance, or the structure. Okay, it's a pear-shaped muscular organ that is an essential part of the female reproductive system. It is located in the pelvis, between the bladder and the rectum. And what are the functions of each of the features of this specimen? Number one, the shape. The uterus is a pear shape and has a narrow lower portion called the cervix. Then for the size. The size of the uterus varies depending on the age and the reproductive status of the woman. You wouldn't compare the size and the shape of the uterus of a lady who hasn't given birth to that of a woman that has given birth. Then the layers. The uterus has 3 layers. It has 3 layers. The outer layers called the perimetrium. The outer layer called the perimetrium. The middle layer called the myometrium. The middle layer called the myometrium, and the innermost layer called the endometrium. And we'll be looking at the function of each of them. So then, the pregnancy. The uterus is the organ where a fertilized egg implants and develop into a fetus during pregnancy. Please take note, the uterus is the organ where fertilized eggs implant and develop into a fetus during pregnancy. Then menstruation. The endometrium of the uterus is shed during menstruation in the absence of pregnancy. Endometrium is shed off. Which is the outer layer of the uterus. This is become thickened and shed off when there is no pregnancy. Please take note. Then contraction. During labor, the uterus contracts to push the baby out of the birth canal. During labor, there is going to be contraction, which will push the baby out of the birth canal. Then, which hormone is responsible? The uterus produces hormone that regulate the menstrual cycle and prepare the endometrium for pregnancy. Prepare the endometrium for pregnancy. Do not forget, endometrium is the innermost layer of the uterus. So prepare it for pregnancy. The uterus produces hormone that regulate the menstrual cycle and prepare the endometrium for pregnancy. And now let's look at other parts like fundus. Fundus is the upper part of the uterus. Upper part of the uterus. And there is a body of the uterus, which is the main part of the uterus. Then we have the cervix. The cervix, the narrow lower part of the uterus that opens into vagina. Cervix is the narrow lower part of the uterus that opens into the vagina. Then, like I said earlier, endometrium. Endometrium is the innermost layer of the uterus that thickens and sheds during the menstrual cycle, where we have myometrium, the middle layer of the uterus, made up of smooth muscle that contract during labor. And we have perimetrium, the outermost layer of the uterus that covers the uterus and keep it in place. So you can see the structure. See the umbilical cord, which connect the baby, the fetus, to the placenta. We have the ovary. Although the ovary is not shown, we have the fallopian tube where fertilization takes place. We have the amnion fluid. We have the amniotic fluid, okay, where the baby have its birth and cushion the baby, and the amnion, they cushion the baby against mechanical injury. Just like when a man falls. If you fall on a foam, on a mattress, you won't sustain injury like you fall on the floor. So the fetus is a developing baby that grows inside the uterus. It is connected to the placenta and umbilical cord, which provide it with oxygen and nutrients. The fetus is the developing baby, okay? And we have the umbilical cord and placenta, which provide the baby, the fetus, with oxygen and nutrients. The placenta is an organ that develops into the uterus during pregnancy. It is attached to the uterine wall and is connected to the fetus by the umbilical cord. Connected to the fetus by the umbilical cord. The placenta provides oxygen and nutrients to the fetus and remove waste product from its blood. Please take note. Placenta provide oxygen and nutrient to the fetus and remove waste products from its blood. Then umbilical cord, just as the name suggests, umbilical cord is a flexible tube-like structure that connects the fetus to the placenta. We have told you the function of placenta. We know what fetus is. So it contains 3 blood vessels, 2 arteries and 1 vein. 2 arteries and 1 veins. You know all arteries except pulmonary arteries carry oxygenated blood. All veins except pulmonary vein carry deoxygenated blood. So the umbilical cord is made up of 2 arteries and 1 vein. The arteries carry deoxygenated blood. Please take note. In adults, all arteries carry oxygenated blood except pulmonary arteries. All veins carry deoxygenated blood except pulmonary vein. So arteries carry deoxygenated blood and waste product from the fetus to the placenta, while veins carry oxygenated blood and nutrients from placenta to the fetus. Please take note. Okay. So during pregnancy, the fetus is surrounded by amniotic fluid in the uterus. I said that earlier, which helps to cushion and protect it. The placenta and umbilical cord work together to provide fetus with nutrients and oxygen it needs to grow and develop. Then after the baby is born, the umbilical cord is clamped and cut. Separating the baby from the placenta. Then the placenta is then expelled from the uterus during the 3rd stage of labor. So let's quickly look at a question. Describe the external feature of mature fresh egg of catfish and that of eggs of domestic fowl. The mature fresh egg of catfish has a slightly oval shape and is about 1.2 to 2.5 millimeter in diameter, while the egg is surrounded by a jelly-like substance that is sticky and transparent. The fresh egg of domestic fowl is round and has a hard shell. The shell is smooth and has a pointed end and a rounded end. So let's compare the structure of mature eggs of catfish and domestic fowl. The mature egg of catfish and fresh egg have a similar structure, including the yolk. I told you the yolk, the abdomen, the germinal sac. However, catfish egg has a thin, transparent chorion that surrounds the egg, while the fowl eggs has a hard, calcified shell. The process of fertilization in mature fresh egg of catfish and domestic fowl. In catfish, fertilization occurs externally. Please take note. Fertilization occurs externally when the male releases his sperm into the water and the female releases her egg. So the female lays the egg in the water while the male releases its sperm. So the sperm then swim to the eggs and fertilize them. So while in domestic fowl, fertilization occurs internally. Fertilization occurs internally when the sperm are deposited into the female reproductive tract during copulation. So please, I'd like you to go check oviparity, and viviparity, since human being is also involved. Oviparity, ovoviviparity, and viviparity. That differentiates the 3 of them, including that of woman. Okay. So describe the adaptation of the structure in the mature fresh egg of catfish and fresh eggs of domestic fowl that enable them to develop and hatch. Like now, in catfish, the jelly-like substance that surround the catfish egg protect it from damage and also provide buoyancy, which allows the egg to float on the surface of the water. Then the hard shell of the fowl egg protect the embryo from damage and also allow for gas exchange during development. D, specimen D, which is the longitudinal section of ovary of Pride of Barbados. Longitudinal section of ovary of Pride of Barbados. So, the Pride of Barbados, also known as Cassapenia pokerima, Cassapenia pokerima, is a flowering plant that belongs to the family of Fabaceae. So like other flowering plant, it has reproductive structure that allow it to produce seeds and propagate. The ovary is an essential part of the reproductive system, and the longitudinal section of Pride of Barbados have several important features. Now, before I proceed, it is a complete flower. A complete flower is a flower that have all the four floral parts: the sepal, the petals, the androecium, and the gymnoecium. So we have the sepal, will protect all other parts of the flower. Then we have the petals, which is the colored and the brightly colored part of the flower, and the function of that is to attract the insect Actually, what the insects are looking for is the nectar, which is the sugary liquid. So while the insects are trying to get this sugary liquid, the pollen grains from the anther will stick to their wings, and it will help to transfer them to the stigma of the flower. The androecium, which is the male part of the flower, that is made up of the anther and the filament. Okay, the androecium made up of anther and the filament. Then you have the gymnoecium, which is made up of the stigma and the style, which is also known as pistil. So let's quickly look at questions now. So the shape and the size of Pride of Barbados is a small elongated structure that is typically about 1 to 2 centimeters in length. The location of the ovary. The ovary is located at the base of the flower, that is below the petals and stamens. The ovary is composed of three fused carpels, which form 3 chambers inside the ovary, and each chamber contains several ovules, which are potential seeds. Now, the wall layers. The ovary wall has 3 layers: the outermost layer, which is the epidermis, followed by the mesocarp, and the innermost layer, which is the endocarp. Then the placenta. Each chamber of the ovary has a central placenta that extends from the top to the bottom of the ovary. The ovules are attached to the placenta by a stalk called fonicus. Then the ovules now. The ovules are the female reproductive structure that contain the egg cell. Each ovule consists of a protective layer called the integument, which encloses the nucleus. The nucleus contains the embryo sac, contains the embryo sac, which is the female gametophyte that produces the egg cell. Then we have the style and the stigma. So about the ovary is the structure called the style, which connects the ovary to the stigma. The stigma is a sticky surface where the pollen grains land during pollination. Then the specimen E is the leaf of Pride of Barbados. Now, one thing I need to say, the specimen D is the flower of specimen E. And like I said earlier, the flower, Pride of Barbados flower is a complete flower. It is an insect pollinated flower. When you see a sepal colored, beautiful, then you know it is insect pollinated. Okay, and one of the adaptation of insect pollinated flower is that their stigma is always sticky or gummy. Okay, and the pollen grains too. So we have Pride of Barbados. the leaf of pride of Barbados. The leaf of pride of Barbados. The leaf of pride of Barbados, also known as Cassepenia purgirina, is an important part of the plant photosynthetic system. So note that it's a green leaf, so which is responsible for the photosynthesis in the plant. So the blade is flat, green, expanded part of the leaf that is responsible for photosynthesis. Then the petiole, it has petiole. The leaf has petiole, this, which is the stalk that connects the blade to the stem. Then there is stipule. The stipule is a small leaf-like structure located at the base of the petiole. Then, like I said, the function, what are the function? The function of the leaf, it is mainly for photosynthesis. The blade of the leaf is primarily the site of photosynthesis, where light energy is used to convert carbon dioxide and water to glucose and oxygen. Then what part is used for gaseous exchange? The leaf also serves as the site of gas exchange, where carbon dioxide is taken in and oxygen is released. Then the leaf has stomata, which is the microscopic holes or pores, and with gas cells through which gases are exchanged. Then it is also responsible for transpiration. The leaf is also responsible for transpiration, except photosynthesis number 1, gaseous exchange number 2, number 3, transpiration. The leaf also helps in the process of transpiration, which is the loss of water from the leaf in the form of vapor. Okay. Now, then what are the adaptation of the leaf? Number 1, the shape of the leaf. The leaf of pride of Barbados has a bipinnate, please note, bipinnate compound. That's the shape and the modification. Bipinnate compound leaf structure, which allow for maximum surface area for photosynthesis. Then the caudicle. The leaf surface is covered with waxy caudicle to reduce water loss. Then the stomata, of which I said that earlier. The stomata has the leaf has stomata, which are specialized pores. It's microscopic, so it might not be seen visibly, that allow for gas exchange and water loss control. So it has a gas cell which helps to control the opening and closing of what gas cell, which helps to control the water loss. Then we have the mesophyll tissue. The mesophyll tissue of the leaf is well adapted for photosynthesis as it contains many chloroplasts and is well organized to optimize light absorption. Okay, the other modification of the leaf is leaf venation. The leaf of pride of Barbados has bipinnate venation, pinnate venation, where the veins of the leaf extend from a central mid-rib. Pinnate leaf venation. Please take note, because we still have some other leaves, so and they may ask for leaf venation. It's pinnate venation. Then the leaf arrangement. The leaves are arranged alternately on the stem. The leaves are arranged alternately on the stem. The color of the leaf, of course, that is green in color due to the presence of chlorophyll pigment. Okay, so let me reiterate some of the questions again under the pride of Barbados. What is the primary function of the leaf of pride of Barbados? How does the structure of the leaf help in carrying out its function? What is the function of the waxy cuticle on the leaf surface? What is the role of stomata in the leaf? How is the mesophyll tissue of the leaf adapted to the photosynthesis? What is the leaf venation pattern of the pride of Barbados? How are the leaves of pride of Barbados arranged on the stem? What is the role of chlorophyll pigment in the leaf? What is the importance of transpiration in the leaf? How does the leaf of pride of Barbados contribute to the overall survival of the plant? Specimen F, and that is Guinea grass. That is the Guinea grass. The Guinea grass, also known as Panicum maximum. Panicum maximum is a perennial grass excuse me, that typically grows up to 2 to 3 meters tall. It has broad, flat leaves that are arranged alternately along the stem and can grow up to 60 centimeters in length. The inflorescences are large, open panicle that can be up to 40 centimeters in length and are composed of numerous small spikelets. The main part of the Guinea grass. The main part of the Guinea grass plant include the leaves, the stem, the leaves, the roots, the stem, leaves, and inflorescence. The roots are typically deep and fibrous, allowing the plant to access water and nutrients from the deeper soil layers. That's the function of the root. The stems are typically thick and sturdy, allowing allowing the plant to support its large inflorescence. The leaves are broad and flat with parallel veins. Broad and flat with parallel veins. That's venation. Please take note. Parallel vein, and are arranged alternately along the stem. While the inflorescences are large, open panicles that can contain thousands of individual flowers. So you can see we have the inflorescence here, that is panicle type. We have the spikelet, we have the peduncle, the leaf flag, rachis, culm node, you have the blade sheath, you have the collar, you have the crown, and you have the rhizome within the ground, and you have the stolon. So how does the Guinea grass adapt to its environment? The Guinea grass has a number of adaptations that help it to thrive in different environments. Number one, it is able to tolerate both drought and flooding conditions. Do know it's one of the stubborn weeds. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why it's one of the stubborn weeds. That even when you have a bush burn, the first rain you see is coming out, which allows it to grow in a variety of habitat. Okay, the deep, fibrous roots of Guinea grass allow it to access water and nutrients from deeper soil layers during drought. That makes it to survive in drought. The plant can also survive flooding by producing adventitious roots. So you can see now, which grow from the stem and allow the plant to continue to access oxygen. You can see this horizontal stem, adventitious. So it enables it to grow during flood. So you can see the deep, fibrous roots, which also allows it to survive during drought. That is ability to absorb water from the deepest part of the soil. So how does it reproduce? Guinea grass reproduces both sexually during production of seed and asexually. And you see, the seed has one very unique characteristic which we call longevity of buried wheat seed. So the seed, even in absence of rain, can survive for a longer time in the soil. So we call it longevity of buried wheat seed. So it survives in the drought. So Guinea grass reproduce both sexually through the production of seed, and I've told you the attribute of the seed, and asexually through the vegetative reproduction. The inflorescence produce seeds which can be dispersed by wind. You can see it's very dull, so it is wind pollinated or animal. Then the Guinea grass can also reproduce vegetatively through the growth of new shoots from underground rhizome. New shoot from underground rhizome. You can see the underground rhizome here, underground rhizome, and the underground rhizome or above the ground stolon. You can see the rhizome, you can see the stolon. So it is very adapted. So what are some common uses of Guinea grass? Common uses of Guinea grass. So Guinea grass has a number of uses. Number one, it is used as a forage crop for grazing purposes, for grazing by livestock. It is highly nutritious and palatable to them, to the livestock. Highly nutritious and palatable. It can also be used for erosion control. It is used for erosion control and as a landscaping plant in parks and gardens. It can be used for erosion control and also as landscaping plant in parks and gardens. It is actually the economic important. It's actually stubborn. It's actually stubborn. So it's a serious weed. A serious weed. You don't invite it to come naturally on your land. So let's quickly look at some differences or similarities between Pride of Barbados leaf and guinea grass leaf. So the Pride of Barbados leaves are pinnately compound, meaning they have multiple leaflets arranged along a central axis and are typically small in size, ranging from 5 to 10 centimeters in length. While in guinea grass, the leaves are simple, meaning that they consist of single blade and are typically large in size, ranging from 30 to 60 centimeters in length. Then we are still contrasting. Then what about their leaf texture? The Pride of Barbados leaves have smooth, waxy texture, while guinea grass leaves have a rough, hairy texture. Please take note. Then the color. These are observable features. The Pride of Barbados leaves are typically a bright, glossy green color, while guinea grass leaves are a dull, matte green color. Then the leaf arrangement. Pride of Barbados leaves are arranged alternately along the stem, while guinea grass leaves are also arranged alternately but can be concentrated toward the base of the stem. Then the leaf venation for the two of them. Pride of Barbados leaves have prominent pinnate veins that run parallel to the leaf edge, while guinea grass leaves have parallel veins that are less pronounced. So we move to the next specimen, which is cocoyam plant. Cocoyam plant. What are the main parts of cocoyam plant? The cocoyam plant, also known as Xanthosoma sagitifolium, has three main parts: the culm, the leaves, and the inflorescence. The culm is a bulbous underground stem that stores nutrient for the plant. The leaves are large, arrow-shaped, and grow on a longer petiole that emerge from the culm. Those are the observable features. Please take note. Observable features. The inflorescence is a long upright spike that emerge from the center of the plant and is composed of numerous small flowers. What are some distinguishing features of cocoyam leaves? Cocoyam leaves are large, broad, and arrow-shaped with a pointed tip and a heart-shaped base. They can grow up to 60 centimeters in length and 30 centimeters in width. The veins of the leaves are pinnate and radiate from the central vein. They radiate from the central vein. The leaves are typically a bright green color and have a smooth texture. How does the cocoyam plant adapt to its environment? The larger broad leaves provide a large surface area for photosynthesis, allowing the plant to capture more sunlight. The culm is able to store nutrients. The culm, the underground stem, able to store nutrients, allowing the plant to survive periods of drought or other environmental stress. So the plant is also able to tolerate low light levels, making it well suited to shaded environment. How does cocoyam plant reproduce? Very important. I know will surely come up. The cocoyam plant reproduces both sexually during the production of flowers and seed, and asexually during the growth of new culms from the existing one. The flower of the cocoyam plant are small and inconspicuous and are pollinated by insects. The seeds produced by the flower can be used to grow new plant. The seeds can be used to grow new plant, but primarily, the primary method of propagation is through the growth of new culms. So by culms. So what are the common uses of cocoyam? Of course, it is used to make variety of dishes. The culm are typically boiled or roasted and can be used in stew, in soups. Okay, while the leaf of the plant can also be eaten, either cooked or raw, and are often used as wrap or other food. They use that wrap. The leaf can be eaten raw or cooked, while the culm can also be cooked or roasted. Okay, then we go to specimen G, the corm of cocoyam. The corm of cocoyam. A corm is a type of underground stem that is used by plants to store nutrients and energy. So in cocoyam plant, the corm serves as the main storage organ for carbohydrate, allowing the plant to survive periods of drought or other environmental stress. What does a cocoyam corm look like? A cocoyam corm is a bulbous and roughly spherical in shape with a rough peppery outer layer. It is typically 10 to 20 centimeters in diameter and can weigh up to several pounds. When cut open, the corm has a white, starchy interior. How does cocoyam plant reproduce using its corm? Cocoyam plants reproduce asexually by producing new corm from the existing one. Asexually using corm. As the plant grows, the older corm will produce one or more new corms that can be harvested and used to grow new plants. Now, what are the adaptations of cocoyam corm? The cocoyam corm is adapted to storing large amount of carbohydrate, which allows the plant to survive periods of drought or other environmental stress. So the outer layer of the corm is also adapted to protect plant from physical damage and predators. Okay. So, and the uses, we have said that earlier, it can be boiled, it can be roasted, it can be used with stew or so. So the grasses, okay, we're not talking about grass here. So they can also be dried and ground into flour to make bread or other baked goods. It can also be dried and ground. So specimen J, dry humus. Dry humus. How is this formed? Okay, what are humus? These are the dead, decayed organic compounds. The dry humus, these are the dead, decayed organic remains. So dry humus is a type of organic matter that forms from the decomposition of plant and animal material. It is typically found in the soil that are low in moisture and have low rate of decomposition. Please take note of that. They are found in the soil that are low in moisture. That's dry humus. Found in soil that are low in moisture. Now, what are the characteristics? Dry humus typically is dark or black in color and has a crumbly granular texture. They have crumbly granular texture, okay, and it is relatively light in weight and has low water holding capacity. What is the role? The dry humus is an important component of the soil because it helps to improve the soil structure and fertility. Okay, it also provides a source of nutrients for plants and help to retain moisture in the soil. Now, how does the dry humus differ from other type of organic matter? Dry humus differ from other type of organic matter in that it has a relatively low water holding capacity, and is not as effective at retaining moisture in the soil. Okay, so now how can the presence of dry humus in soil be measured? The presence of dry humus can be measured using a variety of methods, including colorimetric analysis and thermal analysis. And infrared spectroscopy. Then we go to specimen K, which is moist humus. What is the moist humus and how is it formed? Moist humus is a type of organic matter that forms from the decomposition of plants and animal, materials in soil that have high level of moisture. It is found in wetland or forest soils where there is a lot of organic matter. Okay, so what are the characteristics? Moist humus is typically dark brown or black in color and has a soft, spongy texture. Please take note of that you may be asked to differentiate between dry and moist humus. It is also relatively heavy in weight and has high water holding capacity. The role in the soil. What is the role of moist soil in the soil? Moist soil is an important component of soil because it helps to improve soil structure and fertility. It also provides source of nutrients for plants and help to retain moisture in the soil. Okay, it also acts as a sponge, soaking up excessive water during period of heavy rain and release it slowly during dry season. Okay, how does moist soil differ from other? Moist humus soil differ from other types of organic matter in that it has high water holding capacity. It is effective at retaining moisture in the soil, and it is more likely to decompose quickly, which can be an advantage in wet environment, okay, where the decomposition rates are high. Okay, how can it be measured? How can the presence of moist humus in soil be measured? It can be measured with the use of colorimetric analysis, thermal analysis, and infrared spectroscopy. Okay, so move to specimen L, which is the ripe orange fruit. The scientific name of orange fruit is Citrus sinensis. What are the physical characteristics, that is observable feature? A ripe orange fruit is a typical round. It is round and oval shaped with a bright orange skin that is firm to touch. It has a juicy flesh that is segmented and contains seed. What are the nutritional value of the ripe orange fruit? The ripe orange fruit is rich in vitamin C, which is an important antioxidant that helps to boost immune system and protect against cellular damage. It protects against cellular damage. It is also a good source of dietary fiber, which promotes digestive health and contains other vitamins and minerals such as folate, thiamine, and potassium. Now, what type of fruit is orange? The ripe orange is a Hesperidium fruit. Hesperidium fruit, which is a type of berry. So it's a berry fruit. It has a tough, leathery, rind feel aromatic oil. The pulp of the fruit is divided into sections or segments, each containing juices and seeds. What is placentation? The placentation of orange fruit is axile. That's axile placentation. Okay, that's axile placentation. So you may be asked to draw a well-labeled diagram of this fruit of the orange. You'll be asked, what is the function of oil glands on the skin of an orange fruit? The oil glands on the skin of an orange fruit produce aromatic oils that give the fruit its characteristic scent and flavor. Okay, so you may be asked to bisect the orange either transversely, so you can see the transverse section of the orange. Okay, it has a mesocarp, juice sac, It has pulp, we have epicarp, we have mesocarp, endocarp, that's seed. So you may be asked to draw, to cut and draw it. Then we'll move quickly to specimen M. Move quickly to specimen M. Okay, and also orange is a true fruit. It's a simple fruit, a berry fruit. Okay, then we move to M. That's longitudinal section of coconut fruit. Okay, you may be asked to draw a longitudinal section of the coconut fruit. Then what is the purpose of the endosperm in a coconut fruit? The endosperm is a white, fleshy part of the coconut fruit that surrounds the embryo. It is rich in nutrients and serves as a source of food for the developing embryo. What adaptation do coconut have for seed dispersal? Coconut fruit have several adaptations that allow them to be dispersed over long distances by ocean current. The fruit has a tough, fibrous husk that can float in water, and the seed inside are buoyant and resistant to salt water. Then what is the structure and function of embryo in the coconut fruit? The embryo is small, cylindrical structure located at the end of the coconut fruit. So you can see it. See, very small. It is surrounded by endosperm, and it is part of the fruit that will develop into a new coconut, tree. The embryo has a shoot and a root, and the shoot will grow upward toward the surface of the soil, while the root will grow downward to anchor the plant. How does the coconut fruit develop? The coconut fruit develops from a flower that is pollinated by insects or bat. As the fruit grows, the endosperm form around the embryo, and the husk develop around the outside of the fruit. The fruit takes several months to mature, and when it is fully ripe, it falls to the ground and can be collected for consumption or to grow a new coconut tree. So on the last specimen, which is longitudinal section of fresh chili pepper, specimen N, longitudinal section of fresh chili pepper fruit. Okay, so you may be asked to draw the longitudinal section of the chili pepper. Now, longitudinal section of fresh chili pepper, it consists of outer pericarp, mesocarp, endocarp, and the placenta is located at the center of the pepper and is surrounded by seed. Identify and describe the various cell types found in longitudinal section of fresh chili pepper. The cell found in longitudinal section of a fresh chili pepper include parenchymal cell, collenchymal cell, and sclerenchymal cell. The parenchymal cells are thin-walled and are responsible for the storage and photosynthesis. Collenchymal cells have thick, uneven wall and provide support to the plant, while sclerenchymal cells have thick, lignified walls and provide structural support to the plant. Now, what is the function of pericarp in the chili pepper? The pericarp in the chili pepper serves to protect the developing seeds and provide a nutrient source for them. It is responsible for pepper's characteristics, heat, and flavor. What is the function of the placenta in the chili pepper? The placenta in the chili pepper is the central part of the fruit that holds the seed. It is responsible for producing the capsaicin, which gives pepper its heat. How can you distinguish between mature and immature chili pepper based on their longitudinal section? Immature chili pepper we have a thinner pericarp and smaller seed, while mature chili pepper have a thicker pericarp and larger seeds. The seeds in mature chili peppers will also be fully developed and more visible in longitudinal section. So what are the differences and similarities between the orange fruit, coconut fruit, and chili pepper? So let us look at that, and that will provide us with a very good information. The type of fruit. Orange fruit is Hesperidium, that is also a berry fruit. So that's the similarity between orange and chili pepper. Why coconut is a drupe. Coconut is drupe. Now, the mesocarp of orange is fleshy and juicy. The mesocarp of orange is fleshy and juicy. Why? And that of chili pepper, the mesocarp of chili pepper is also fleshy, whereas the mesocarp of coconut is fibrous. Is fibrous. Now, the epicarp of orange is leathery. Is leathery, like a leathery. Why the epicarp of coconut is fibrous. The epicarp of chili pepper is thin and waxy. The endocarp of orange is pithy. Pithy is pithy. Why the endocarp of coconut is hard and woody. That of chili pepper, the endocarp of chili pepper is soft. It is soft. Now, the type of placentation. The placentation of orange is axial. I said that before. So the placentation of orange is axial. That of chili pepper is axial. Okay. Orange is a berry fruit. Chili pepper is a berry fruit. Coconut is a drupe. Now, the placentation of orange and chili is axial. Those are the similarities. Whereas the placentation of coconut fruit is parietal. It is parietal. Then the main mode of dispersal. See, the dispersal of orange is animals. Animals. Why coconut is water and animal. And I gave you the adaptation for the dispersal of coconut by water. Okay, it always floats in water. Then that of chili pepper is also animal. The nutritional content. Orange is rich in vitamin C, which boosts immune system. Chili pepper is also rich in vitamin C. So I've given you like 3 differences between orange and chili pepper. You may be asked. You may also be asked to differentiate between orange and chili pepper. I know one of them will come out. Either you are differentiating between orange and coconut, or you are differentiating between coconut and chili pepper, or you are looking for the similarities between orange and chili pepper. Know for sure that one of them will come out. So rich in vitamin C. Orange is rich in vitamin C. Chili pepper is rich in vitamin C. Why coconut is high in saturated fat. So please do well. We won't think go beyond this. I'd like you to subscribe, share this video, and comment. Ask any question in the comment section. I will attend to it. But share this extensively. Share it extensively, and listen to this and listen to it over and over again until I'm very sure that success awaits you in this examination. Thank you. My name still remains Rotimi Lawrence.